In this video session, we will cover the next mechanism of the microprocessor, and that is nothing but the nested macro. What does this mean? There are two types of the nested macro facilities available with the microprocessor, and that are first is the nested macro call. Okay, there are two types. First is the nested macro call, and second is nothing but the nested macro definition. Okay, what does this two parts means? We will see them separately. First of all, we will see the nested macro call. When one macro calls the another macro, and it is nothing but the nested macro call. Now we will take one example, and that is, for example, there is a one macro and you are specifying one function, that is the triple A. This is the one macro and it is having its parameter A. Then we will end this macro. Now, simultaneously, suppose we start another macro and write here the BBB as another macro having the parameter ampersand B. Then, in this second macro, that is the BBB, we can call the first macro, that is the AAA, and passing the parameter to it which is accepted by the BBB macro, and we will perform the macro in. What does this actually means? There are some restrictions or the rules available with such macro calls, and that are the macro which you have to call in another macro should be specified before the calling macro. The procedure, like you are specifying here the BBB and accessing the AAA macro, means this A macro in the, means you are calling the A macro in the B macro and you have not written this part before this, then such a procedure is not allowed. Okay. Macro definition sequence is more important. Means the macro you are using in another macro or calling in another macro have to be defined previously the calling macro. So two macros cannot call each other. Okay. That means early defined macro cannot call the late defined macro. Means this cannot call this, but this B macro can call the this macro because it is previously defined of the B macro. Now we will take some different mechanisms related to nested macro call. That is, for example, in the previous some videos, we have seen the forward reference problem. Okay, what does it mean? Forward reference problem is nothing but the thing you are using before, for example, have not specified before its use is known as a forward reference problem. Means thing you are using is not specified up till now is known as a forward reference problem. But macro does not allow such type of a call. So this problem cannot occur with the nested macro or in the macro facility. Okay. Now we will see the second type of the macro, that is the nested macro definition. What does it mean? When one macro is defining another macro, it is called as a nested macro definition. When actual definitions are given, it is known as a macro nested macro definitions, and when only macros are called, it is known as a nested macro calling. Now, for example, there is a one macro and that is known as a macro, for example, B, and it is having the ampersand B parameter. Then there is a macro and it is specifying A and having the A, and it is a definition, and then macro end is there. Then, in such a case, BBB is a outer macro with the formal parameter ampersand B, and AAA is a inner macro with the formal parameter AA, means this is A. Now, inner macro is compulsorily embedded with the outer macro. Only outer macro can call the inner macro, means B has permission to call A, but A does not have permission to call the B because it is defined inside the B. Inner macro should not accessible to outside environment of the outer macro. Okay, so these are the different types of the macros available with the macro processor. In the further some videos, we will see different advanced facilities or advanced features associated with the different macro types. Thank you so much.